Hello, everyone. It is TexAgs Rewind here, presented by T-Mobile, and T-Mobile wants to remind you guys to visit T-Mobile.com/CrossAmerica to learn more how you can get value and coverage with T-Mobile. The Fan Show guys here from Girard Construction. Well, they're not from there, but the Fan Show is brought to you by Girard Construction. In the house, Blake and Roy. Good day to you, fellas.
Yeah, that's a beautiful day outside, beautiful day in Aggie land. The students aren't quite back, so traffic isn't crazy.
Yeah, and both of you guys bringing the maroon feeling top.
Yeah, well, just nice and subtle today.
Nice and subtle.
Nice and subtle.
A bunch of soccer players in here. All right, guys, we had a fun show for you here on the program. We had That's Bullcrap with Stephen McGee. He brought the business as he always does. Chris Gordy got us locked on the SEC, talked some hoops, talked some football with him as well. Around college football with our buddy Aaron Torres. He did some college hoops as well. Broke that all down. And Logan Lee on A&M taking on Mizzou. Everyone here thinks they're going to win. We'll see what happens this weekend. It is TexAgs Rewind, presented by T-Mobile. What is Bullcrap?
Real exciting Bullcrap this morning, and it's 2022 Aggie football. I'm excited. There is no Bullcrap. This recruiting class, Jimbo Fisher solidifying what he's building and what he's doing here repeatedly. They always seem like they deliver, and potentially signing the best recruiting class ever. I mean, I don't know how they rank or say that, but definitely one of the better recruiting classes that we've seen in the last decade here at A&M. It's pretty awesome, and it should have Aggie fans optimistic about the future of A&M football, being that you have great recruiting, but you also have the substance and great coaching on the field via Jimbo, the mastermind, and then we'll see what happens defensively with our new DC. But I'm excited as a fan.
Olin?
I think the thing to me that is bullcrap is the stigmatism that athletes are dumb jocks. I'm against that stigmatism. That stigmatism is bullcrap. So that's my bullcrap. Look at Stephen McGee. Man, that guy's a jock, and he's making money for people.
Smart as they come.
So that stigmatism is bullcrap.
All right, guys, here's mine. I read USA Today this morning, and they gave out their grades for schools. They gave A&M a C, okay, for an 8-4 season. Oh. Now, while I think we all would say it was not a satisfactory season, I guess we can understand a C, maybe a B minus, but whatever. But then I went into the numbers and looked at who was ranked above A&M or with A&M. So in the C category, you had 7-5 Miami, same as A&M, okay. 3-9 Ohio. Okay. But then who was ahead of A&M in just the regular C+? Okay?
Okay.
Florida State, who went 5-7 and lost to Jackson State.
Uh-huh.
Okay, they were ranked ahead of Texas A&M. Well, I got one more for you. 2-10 Kansas, who beat a 5-7 Texas,
right,
was ranked above A&M in USA Today's ridiculously bullcrap grading system. I'm sorry, I think A&M C fine until I see who was above them.
No, A&M should have been a B just based on the
quarterback
win over. No, the fact that you had a quarterback injury, but the win over Alabama. Why is Kansas at 2-10 considered a C? Because they beat Texas, which really was 7 teams beat Texas.
Everybody beat Texas.
But A&M beat Alabama. And so, but you know what? I don't pay a lot of attention to isn't that what's the reporter's name?
Dan Wolken.
Yeah, isn't that his, that's who he works for, right?
Yes.
So, and Wolken's always had I got to say it nice, so I'll just say an issue with A&M. We have an old saying that probably wouldn't have gone over well, but he's always had an issue with A&M. So I don't pay much attention to USA Today.
Ole Miss, I can't imagine they're going to be as good next year without Matt Corral, depending on what they do at quarterback. Mississippi State is Mississippi State. I think they're a 7-5 team. Regardless, how do you see the SEC West next year as of right now?
I think your assessment is right, but here's a couple of mitigating factors. Today's a big day for Ole Miss. They're hosting Jackson Dart, who is the USC quarterback. They're also bringing in Michael Trigg, who's a big-time tight end from USC. If Lane Kiffin lands both of those guys, they've already brought in about 4 or 5 high-impact transfers in the last 2 weeks. Like, we talk about the transfer portal changing things a lot. that could change a lot for Ole Miss and how they operate next year. If Jackson Dart comes in and he's got his big tight end and they got, wide receivers left and right, like that could change and make Ole Miss a contender again next year in the West. Mike Leach, we'll see. I mean, I'm still not fully sold on Will Rogers. We'll see if he can take that next step. Arkansas is like, man, I want to say that they can take that next step. I'm just not sold on KJ Jefferson. Is he a gamer? Is he a guy who can put the game on the line and drive you down the field and score a touchdown? Yeah, but like I got to see that for 4 quarters. And throughout this year, KJ Jefferson just had those quarters where he was largely inconsistent. So I think you're right, David. The only thing I would caution people on is I'm seeing a lot of these early, way too early top 25 rankings and all this. I'm seeing people put the Aggies top 5. And I'm going, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Like I got to see how the quarterback battle, shakes out throughout the spring. I want to say that they'll be top 5. I want to put them there, but I got to see how this shakes out. If they had, let's just say, their starting quarterback all year and he was coming back next year like a Bryce Young or whatever, yeah, absolutely. I would feel very confident because of the recruiting class and all that. But I just want to say, like, let's pump the brakes a little bit on raising expectations that high. This could be the year with the Aggies where you take a step up, maybe like a 10-2 type year, but you start to lay that foundation for the next year. That's what I would say. But I would just caution a little bit on running to put them in the top 5. Like, let's see who's the quarterback first.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I think the quarterback situation, regardless if it's Max Johnson, Connor Wegman, or Haynes King, is better than it was last year. As much as I love Zach and he was able to slay the dragon, I think there's an upgrade to quarterback next year.
You're right. And I mean, the quarterback room on paper looks great. All I'm saying is let's see it shake out on the field. And look, they could go into the spring game and, Haynes King, I don't know if he's going to be ready for the spring game or not, but if he is and he throws a handful of touchdowns and he's like 18 for 20, I mean, we may change our tune and go, all right, it's his show and he's the guy. We'll see. But I'm just saying, like, until we know who it is, I'm not ready to commit to them. But yeah, absolutely. If we're talking about, depth in the SEC West, it's Alabama and it's the Aggies right behind them.
Caleb Williams, you think he ends up at USC?
I mean, that would make the most sense, right? Like Jackson Dart visiting all these schools and visiting Ole Miss. If he's on the way out, the next domino to fall should be Caleb Williams to USC. Now, there was some interesting, I think he put out a list last week and LSU was in his top 4. I just thought that was interesting. I mean, with the news that Miles Brennan's coming back to LSU just didn't seem to make a lot of sense. But, we're seeing these schools, a lot of them are kind of like, all right, you've already invited Betty to the school dance and she's a pretty girl. She's nice, but the prom queen's over there and you asked her and you're waiting for her decision. And so you're kind of holding out, waiting to see if the prom queen wants to take you to the dance, so it's kind of like, man, nobody's committed to anybody at this point. If somebody better comes in and says, Coach, I want to come to you, it's like, hey man, no offense to you, but we got to take the better quarterback. But yeah, I would think the easy one would be to go follow Lincoln Riley over there. I still don't know why he wouldn't stay at Oklahoma. It just doesn't make any sense. I know Dylan Gabriel's coming over there and maybe they made a promise to him, but I don't know. And I'm seeing people putting USC in their preseason top 10. Let's stop. Like, they have a lot to rebuild there. Lincoln Riley will probably be good for them down the stretch. But, man, we want to put the cart before the horse so quickly. Like, pump the brakes. USC is not going to be a 10-11 win team next year.
Is there a best team in college hoops this year? A lot of guys have fallen this last week, and just overall, Auburn's playing at an unbelievable clip. But is there one?
I don't think so. And I've been on this for 2 or 3 weeks and, I've been focused on football, but I've even said on my podcast is that I don't think there is. And I think it's good for the sport. I mean, look, you look at, first of all, I do think Auburn, if they win this weekend, and I don't even know who they're playing, but if they win, I think they should be ranked number 1. They're 15-1 right now. Only lost to the UConn Huskies, by the way, but it was in double overtime. And, they lost one game. It was in mid-November, in double overtime. And I think they should be number 1 if they win this weekend. But with that said, I mean, look, Alabama made about a 12-14-0 run the other night on them. And Alabama could have won that game in Tuscaloosa. And so I sit here to say, I think Baylor's good. They're not as good as last year. Duke is good, but they just lost the other day at home. Kansas is good. They just lost the other day to Texas Tech. Texas Tech is good, but they just lost the other day to Iowa State. And so you start to go on and on down the list I don't think there's a best team. I think there's about 15 or so teams that are really good. on any given night. Anyone can beat anybody else. And I just think that's how it is. And I think the SEC is kind of a microcosm of that, where I do think, maybe Kentucky, LSU, and Auburn at the top. But look, Arkansas was terrible. You guys saw them in person. They just waxed Missouri by 30 the other day. Well, what happened with Missouri the game before? They beat Alabama. So I just bring it up to say I don't think there is a best team. And I do think that the SEC is kind of a microcosm of it, where again, Missouri beats Alabama. Maybe Missouri's no, and then they lose to Arkansas. So I think that's where we're at with college hoops. But I think, look, it's going to make for a fun last month and a half of the regular season. I think it's going to make for a fun conference championship week, and I think it's going to make for a fun NCAA tournament.
It just speaks well. He's like excited about being here. He tweets about the university. Like, there's a lot to like about this kid. And different than in a Leon way. He's just like, I don't know, like, I can tell when you come from Duke to A&M, basketball school,
yeah,
you would think it's like, like, really? And he's like all about it. Like, he has really embraced this university, and I love it. And he speaks so amazingly about this school. I love it.
I think that from day one, he was captivated by just the way the student body is, and how generous, how friendly, how outgoing everybody on campus is. And that fits him. That's his personality. You can see that when he talks about the university, when he talks about the basketball program, when he's talking about brisket, right. You can see that he is a guy that just goes all in. When he believes in something and when he is passionate about something, you can tell he's both feet in, 100% full force at it.
Is he one of the team leaders, you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you could see that. I'm trying to remember at what time frame it was. They had a mishap on defense. The rotation wasn't there. Sent Ole Miss to the free throw line, and Ole Miss was trying to make a run. It was where I think A&M had 2 turnovers back to back. Ole Miss made a layup or a dunk, and then a 3-pointer, and then A&M followed it up with a missed shot. It was a bad series for A&M. The next possession, which was the third possession for Ole Miss to go down and score, bad rotation on the baseline. I mean, he got in 3 guys' face. When they were in the huddle, he went at them. You're supposed to be here. He's pointing at him, telling at him. I mean, I'm sitting in media row, and I could hear him talking.
Right.
And that's the leadership that this team needs. It's something that Andre Gordon has had from day one. But to have a guard do that and then to have a big man do that at the same time, you're getting it from the perimeter and the inside. You have a team that is growing and developing and possibly becoming a really good team if they can take that next step, if Buzz can add to a good recruiting class to what he has built right now. This is the beginning stages of something that could be really fun to watch.
He was a huge part, but not the only part of the paint production. They outscored them, I believe, by 18 points, 42-24, and he was a big part of that. But A&M, again, wasn't hitting their 3-point shot. They were able to manufacture some offense in the paint. What do we do?
Like.
What else?
Oh, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that. Turn on your notifications.
Sharing is caring, right?
Sharing is caring. So I asked yesterday, I don't know if anybody watches the whole video. I don't think they do. But if they do, tell them the secret password.
Oh, gosh. Oh, I don't remember. It was what McKinney.
But no, we haven't. You can make a new one.
Oh, we can come up with a new one.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson. If you put that in the comments, Roy will come by and hang out with you someday, even if you're not in College Station. It is TexAgs Rewind. Bye.